This is the Getting Into Alignment podcast. Here we play in the quantum world of possibilities. If you desire it, you get to have it. My name is Alexa Ray Smith. I'm a business coach and spiritual teacher for women in business. I'm here to help you unlock your personal power and tap into your magnetism so that you can manifest the most incredible life for yourself and build the business of your dreams. These episodes will help you plug into the energy of infinite potentiality and teach you the tools you need to play in this world where limitations don't exist. On this podcast, I'll be talking to you about energetics, mindset, embodiment, spirituality, money, and business. Everything that you want is on the other side of you getting into alignment. Do you want to have the freedom to design your own life? Are you ready to know that you have the power to create any reality that you desire? If so, Alchemy of Manifestation, my manifestation community, is designed to help you manifest anything that you've ever desired. Within this year-long membership, you will learn proven techniques to gain the abundance, success, and happiness that you've always desired. You're going to learn to tap into the power of the universe so that you can alchemize any reality that you've ever wanted. Not only will you learn to manifest your new reality, you'll also learn how to build a new identity so that you become the person who effortlessly, energetically aligns with all of their desires. So if you're completely ready to transform your life and unlock your full potential, then join Alchemy of Manifestation today, and you can start manifesting everything you've ever desired. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Getting Into Alignment podcast. I'm your host, Alexa Ray Smith. I got an inspired download last night to do 30 days of podcasts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a podcast every single day for the next 30 days, and we're just going to see how it goes. So today I am inspired to talk to you about something in manifestation that I find across the board 100% of the time is something that messes people up, and it takes them out of the vibration and the frequency of having their manifestation. And when we talk about the law of assumption, when we talk about acting as if, when we talk about being the person who has the thing already, you have to be able to not only tap into the frequency of your desired reality, but you have to be able to hold it. So that way you can start becoming that person. So that way you have the mindset of that person. You have the habits of that person. You start acting like that person and feeling like that person and vibrating with the frequency of that person. And that's how you become that person and start manifesting their desired reality. We all know this, right? From a very mental level, we've heard it so many times that we're like, okay, yeah, like I've heard it. But there's something that will always take people out of even obtaining that frequency, of being able to hold it. And that is when we put the pressure on. When we put the pressure on a manifestation, that is when we seemingly can't manifest the thing that we desire to manifest. And that's because pressure means that we are putting pressure on ourselves in an external moment. So like we're thinking that we're putting pressure on ourselves in the future. Like say we have a goal to manifest $10,000 this month. So the pressure is really on that like day 30, right? Like that's when we need to have that $10,000. And we start feeling that needy, desperate energy around the 30th because it's like, it's got to come, it's got to come. If it doesn't come, oh my God, it's not working. But the thing with that is, and I'm going to talk about this in quantum, And I guess we'll be having a little bit of a conversation about this in currency as well. So if you haven't, I have an amazing quantum currency bundle right now so that you can get into quantum and you can get into currency. So quantum is my quantum leaping program and talking all about quantum physics. And then the currency program is my money program. So the thing about putting pressure on an external moment is when we talk about the quantum realm, the only moment that actually exists is right now. So if you are putting pressure on yourself right now, even if it's because you're putting pressure for another date outside of now, you're actually just putting pressure on you in the moment. And that pressure, what it does on an energetic level is it closes you off, which is the exact opposite of receiving energy. And this is one thing that I think we'll have a whole conversation about receiving, because I find that there's a lot of difficulty in the receiving aspect as well. So don't worry, that'll be something we touch on. I think each of these 30 days will probably be something having to do with manifestation, and something I think that will really help the collective move forward in their manifestation practice. But so on an energetic level, the frequency of receiving is it's a very open aura. Like when we talk about human design and we talk about the manifesting generators and the generators, they have an enveloping aura. It's very big, and that's why every other energy type is very attracted to them, because they have this big enveloping aura. They're the life force energy. So think about it like that. If you are energetically open, you are open to receiving from the universe in a myriad of ways. You're just open. So you're just constantly receiving because you've tapped into that receiving open frequency. Well, pressure is the exact opposite of that. Pressure is when you have this very forced, closed off, driven energy. And while, yes, it's good to know what you want, and yes, it's good to have a focused attention, but the whole art of surrendering means that you have to release. Like, I know that you've been in the manifestation community before. You've heard many teachers, if not all of them, tell you the how isn't your responsibility. You have to release the how. So when we're putting pressure on something, we're saying basically to the universe, this is the only way we will allow this to come through. So if you have a business and you're launching a new program, you're like, this $10,000 needs to come through this launch. And you're closing yourself off to all other avenues, where when you think about the abundant universe that we live in, you could literally receive from anything. We've just been conditioned as humans to think that the only way we can receive is by working hard for someone to get a paycheck. But in reality, we're always receiving. It's just, are you in a receptive state so that you can actually receive these things from the universe? So pressure is basically not being flexible. It's being very fixed. And when you have a fixed mindset, you are closing yourself off. When you have a fixed energy, you're closing yourself off. And I think that the art of being able to practice happiness and presence in the actual present moment is the ability to really start working through that. When we look at people that manifest sometimes, but not consistently, there's typically clues as to why you're able to manifest in a certain area. And what I always say to my clients and my students is, when you can find an area where you're able to manifest, you can actually sit with it. And when you are paying attention and you really give it like a hindsight, that 2020 view in hindsight, if you can look at it and reverse engineer how you're able to manifest easily and what works best for you, it's typically when there is no pressure. When you're looking at something and you're like, oh, that'd be cool if it happened, and then you kind of just let it go. That's when we are really the most potent at manifesting, when we haven't nailed our conscious manifestations. And that's because we aren't having this internal conflict where part of us wants it, but the other part's like, oh, it's probably not going to happen. Or we are putting so much pressure on it because, like, money, that's why everyone has such a hard time with money, because we're putting so much pressure on money because we need money to survive and we need money to pay for everything. So money has so much pressure on it. But like, if you think about The Secret, when it tells you to practice manifesting a front row parking spot, there's no pressure on that. You know what I mean? Because if you don't get it, then okay, cool. Like, you know that there's always going to be another parking spot, and it's probably good for you to get some extra steps in. So if you have to park further away, whatever, like, that's not a big deal. That's not going to mean you're going to be evicted or you're not going to be able to feed your family or something. Whereas not having X amount of dollars could have those repercussions. So what I find is that if we look at it, for the majority of the time, it's that when something doesn't seem like it's manifesting, there's so much pressure on that thing to manifest. And then when the pressure's off, when it's not there at all, when it's more like a playful curiosity, and that'd be cool if it happened, but there's no pressure if it doesn't happen, and I'm okay if it does, and I'm okay if it doesn't. And that's the thing. Can you be okay if it doesn't manifest? Because in reality, manifestation should be a bonus. You should be feeling whole, happy, loved, successful, abundant, whatever the desired feeling is that you want. That feeling should always be cultivated inside of yourself first, by yourself. It shouldn't be, these feelings shouldn't be reliant on something outside of you. And oftentimes, if we're not getting something, it's because we feel as though we're not whole unless we have that thing. And the lesson is always to become whole, realize you never needed that thing to become whole in the first place, then the pressure's gone, and then it manifests, right? So it's all about, how can you really start looking at, why are you putting this pressure on yourself in the first place? Why are you putting the pressure on this thing to manifest? Because oftentimes it's because you're really not sitting with yourself, or you feel as though your desired reality isn't where you want it to be. So you feel as though you can't feel happy, or it's hard for you to feel happy, or you want a partner, so you want to feel love. And it's like, but you can't rely on a partner to make you feel love. So how can you feel love now? And then how can you, because you're in a love frequency, just allow your partner to come in? So it's always about coming back to tapping into your desired feeling now. And when you're not able to tap into that desired feeling, I honestly think that's a really awesome sign, because now you have so much evidence to work with and say, okay, so what do I need to clean up? If I'm putting all of this pressure on this thing to manifest, it's because what? Like, what do I feel is wrong with myself now, or wrong with my reality now, or what do I need to change so desperately so I can be okay? Because once you start realizing how silly that is, and once you start just becoming happy with your life now, because you realize this is the only moment I have. So if I'm wasting all of my current moments because I'm wishing for something outside of me, for some outside of me moment, then I'm going to be wishing my entire life away. And the most powerful manifestors are really the ones who are just living their best life. And I don't mean that they're out on a yacht every day. I mean, they're feeling how they want to feel every day. And of course, they're human, and they will have a wave of human emotions that they go through. But they're collecting data typically when their human emotions are sending them signals that they need to get on track. Like, think about it like your gas tank. When we are driving our car and you have a gas tank, it's just giving you a gauge to go off of. Like, if you want to take a trip and you have 88 miles of gas left in your car and the trip is 222 miles, then you are going to need to stop and get gas at one point. Do you want to get gas before you take the trip, or do you want to stop on the way? It's not, neither is bad or good. It's just, how do you want to do it, right? You don't get mad at your car when it starts to run out of gas. You don't get mad when the gas light comes on because you're fully aware of when the gas light's going to come on. And it's just an indication that your car needs more fuel to get you where you're going. Our emotions are just like the gas gauge. These are just signals. They're just signs letting us know how our human is doing. And these aren't bad. Like, we've been trained to think that certain emotions are bad. Nothing is good. It's all information. It's just, what are you doing with the information, or are you doing anything with it? Because these are the people that are able to manifest everything that they desired. They're the ones that are becoming consciously aware of their frequency, of their emotions, of themselves, because they know that they are the creator of the reality, and the reality is being created by themselves in the moment. Oftentimes, our emotions are just guidance and telling us when we need more sleep, when we need to eat better, high nutrient dense foods, when we need to be drinking more water, when we need to stop eating junk food, when we need to stop drinking so much, when we need to stop staying up so late, when we need to be more conscious of what we're consuming. And I don't mean just food wise, but I mean a mental diet. What are you feeding yourself mentally? Are you watching the news all the time? Are you watching crappy television shows? Are you feeding your brain high conscious materials like podcasts, audiobooks, YouTube videos, whatever the case may be? Oftentimes, our emotions are just trying to tell us whether we're in alignment or out of alignment with how we're meant to be operating. But oftentimes we ignore them. And the process of manifestation is really about, instead of suppressing any parts of ourselves, it's about integrating all parts of ourselves so that we can actually become our highest selves. So that way we can start being a potent manifester now. And the most potent thing is really just falling in love with your life now, regardless of the fact that you may not have manifested the career yet, or the success yet, or the money yet, or the partner yet, or whatever. Can you still use every day as a moment to fall more deeply in love with yourself? Can you use every day as a way to heal yourself more and be able to look in the mirror at yourself and tell yourself that you really love yourself? Can you start using every morning as a way for you to wake up super excited about the life that you're living? Because when we are open to the possibilities of all of the greatness that can happen, instead of just assuming that every day is just going to be like the day before it, when we start just falling in love with the little moments, when making your morning coffee is a blissful love affair, when you're getting ready and you've made it this romantic little morning routine for yourself, like romanticizing your life, romanticizing the little moments. It's really these little things. I used to think that life had to be this big grandiose thing, and I've come to realize, the older that I've gotten, it's really the journey. Like, you have to fall in love with the journey. You have to fall in love with the moments, those habitual everyday things, the waking up and taking a shower and taking the dogs out and making your coffee and having lunch and whatever it is. These little moments, they're really gems for us to become fully present. And when I was younger, I fell in love with Buddhism, and I really used to study and follow a lot of Buddhist texts. And one of the messages that always really resonated with me was that it was you have to find happiness and joy in doing the tedious, mundane things. So it was while you're doing your dishes, can you be happy while you're doing your dishes? And these practices of being present, so that way you're in the here and now. So that way you're not putting pressure on some moment outside of you. Because, right, if your moment right now, if there's nothing going wrong, and typically at that very moment there isn't, we're just putting pressure on ourselves in this moment on something that hasn't even happened yet. And that pressure is actually what makes something occur that we don't want to occur or prevents the manifestation from coming in. So it's like when we can become present and we can become conscious in how we're living and how we're investing our energy in the things that we're doing and choosing to hold a higher frequency while we do these things, choosing to do the personal development work so that you become a better version of yourself, not so that you can manifest a G-Wagon. Do you see how the intentionality is also important? Like, manifestation is such a complex topic, which is why I talk about it and teach about it like every day. But there's just so many facets to it. And I love that manifestation has become such a buzzword. But I also feel like people are trying to make manifestation like a get rich quick scheme. And that's never what it was. Like, the intention behind manifestation is really you getting to feel how you want to feel and then experiencing your best life, whatever that means to you. It isn't about all these material gains. Yeah, sure, they're great, but look at any multimillionaire, billionaire who is like suicidally depressed and feels terrible every day. That's why they always say happiness doesn't buy money. And it's always rich people that are saying that. Because if you can't feel loving, if you can't feel love for yourself, if you can't feel successful on your own, if you can't feel worthy, if you can't feel happy, if you can't, feel fulfilled, any of these feelings, like this is a you job. It's a you and you job. And it's always this internal process. And if we're trying to do manifestation and all of these external things, that's when the pressure comes on us, right? Because we're putting pressure to have to do the 369 method X amount of times a day. And we have to make sure that we meditate for X amount of minutes a day. And we have to visualize for this many minutes a day. And it starts putting pressure on. Like, that's like why a lot of people fall out of morning routines, because it's too much pressure to have to do this, and this for X amount of time and da. And yeah, there's one conversation about discipline and there's certain things to be doing, but there's also discipline is super masculine, right? But what about that feminine flow and getting into that receptive state? So there's this equilibrium and there's this balance that's absolutely required. But one thing that I find is that the easiest way to take pressure off of a manifestation is to not need it. Like, can you actually be okay if it didn't come through? If your life just stayed as it is right now, nothing ever changed, could you just be happy? Could you fall in love? Could you be like people in third world countries who have so little but are the happiest people ever? I truly believe that this is one of the societal and collective lessons that we're meant to learn in this generation and in this incarnate, is like, how can we just fall in love with the beauty of the moment as it is without needing any more? Of course, having desires are great, but when a desire turns into a need, when there's separation, when there's pressure, when there's this inconsistent energy, that's when we take ourselves out of alignment and we stop being a potent manifester. So it's like, fall in love with with the moment now. Fall in love with your life now. And am I saying that it's the easiest thing to do? No, absolutely not. Like, we're humans who've been taught not to love ourselves. And a question I think about very often is, how different would society be? How different would the world be? How different would my life be if we were taught to love ourselves? Like, how crazy is that? That all of society, we are taught, especially as women, to make our bodies smaller, to make our lips bigger, to make our butts bigger, to do this with our eyelashes, and don't do this anymore because that's out of style, and your hair's got to look like this, and nope, that's not good enough. Nope, that's definitely not good enough. You've definitely got to do better. Look like her. We get told from the very beginning that we aren't enough, that our lives aren't enough, that we need to be wanting more, but we can't have this. And it's like all of these, like, you can't be happy with yourself and you need to want more, but you can't have more and you need to be grateful for what you have. And it's just like, wait, what? I'm sorry, what am I supposed to be doing right now? And so I think that the most beautiful thing about being on this manifestation journey is that at one point, even if you started to do it for the things, you're like, I really want to have, like, I really want to live in a nicer place because I want to live in a safer neighborhood. Like, that's a great desire to have. And then once you manifest the apartment and the thing, you start realizing that it was never about the thing. It was about you having the space to start to feel safe, so that way you could start having this relationship with yourself. So that way you can realize that the majority of things that you thought you always wanted, you wanted for some reason that no longer resonates with you, because you now realize that those feelings that you thought you would feel when you had that thing, you already feel, and you don't have that thing. And now you realize that that thing might have been some programming that, society told you to want this, but you don't actually want it. And I think the most beautiful part of manifestation is that you get to decide. Like, you truly get to decide what your life looks like. And there are no rules. Like, there are no fucking rules. Your life gets to look however you want it to. If you want to wake up at 10 a.m. every day, cool. If you want to wake up at 6 a.m. every day, awesome. If you want to be a teacher, cool. If you want to be an entrepreneur, cool. Like, instead of trying to build this life that someone else is telling you, aka putting pressure on things, what if you just started creating a life and designing a life that looks exactly and feels exactly how you want it to feel? And you do this moment by moment. So you're not putting pressure on some date outside of you. You're not putting pressure at the end of the month. You're just having fun with this co-creation process, because you realize the opposite of that is feeling like you're completely powerless. And talk about putting pressure on something. If you just take your power back and you realize that you're creating in every moment, and if you decide not to put the pressure on, the pressure won't be there. But you have to be the one that takes the pressure off. You have to be the one that has almost this spiritual awakening and realizes, I don't actually need any more things. I'm totally good on my own. And if I'm not good in a certain area, then that's when me and me are going to work on me. So that way I am intentionally manifesting the things that I actually want. And in the moments in between the manifestations, I'm not waiting for the manifestations. I'm working with myself to become a better version of myself. So that way I'm happier with myself and with my life day in and day out. And this process, whether you're intentionally becoming a better manifestor or not while doing it, you are, because you're being more intentional. You're becoming more conscious. You're integrating your shadow parts of yourself. You're getting honest with what you really want. And then you just naturally start closing that pressure on doors that probably weren't even something that you wanted in the first place. So I really want you to dig into this. Like, there was a lot in here, and I want you to start realizing, one, how complex manifestation is. Not in a, oh my God, this is so difficult, but like in a, oh wow, maybe I don't have to put so much pressure on this one particular method or technique or whatever. What if I just realize that manifestation is truly about how I'm choosing to live my life? And the more aware I am, the more awake I am, the more conscious I am, the more magnetic I become. So it doesn't have to be pressure. It's about this falling in love with the journey of falling in love with myself, and then creating a life that I love because I know and love myself. And how beautiful is that? So I think that we're complete. If you are ready to manifest your desired reality, if you're ready to truly be able to tap into the power of the universe and all of the potential inside of you and manifest your desired reality, then get into Alchemy of Manifestation, because that is the membership where you're going to manifest everything that you've ever desired. And I cannot wait to see you inside. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you're ready to go deeper and to get into my world, you can go to my website, alexaraysmith.com. You'll find all of my current programs on there. If you're desiring to get mentored by me, then the best thing to do is shoot me a DM on Instagram and we can talk about mentorship options and which one's the best fit for you. If you're absolutely loving this podcast, please go rate it 5 stars and let me know why you're loving it. This will help me share the podcast with more people. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. And until the next episode, keep manifesting the most incredible life.